Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the 2018 NFL Week 14 post-week analysis show. Obviously, I'm the host, the diligent, vigilant, meticulous, sagacious, conscientious, analytical, methodical individual, the Chiseled Adonis. See, we haven't been here in quite some time. I've been on IGTV because, I got blocked like it's Dwight Howard in the Post. So I should say not really Dwight Howard in the Post given the recent news, but we ain't talking about that right now. We on the goddamn NFL. Let's break down exactly what happened this past week 14. Number one, we're going to start with Thursday Night Football. We had the Jags taking on the Tennessee Titans in Nashville, Tennessee whiskey. And what happened? Derrick Henry took out his nutsack, rubbed it all over the Tennessee stadium, and it was a bunch of animal abuse because the Jaguars were on the floor feeling a whole lot of human scrotum. Because this man ran for 38 yards, 4 touchdowns, all over their defense. He stiff-armed A.J. Boye into oblivion. He took Leon Jacobs from the east, took him to the west. I reversed the clip and took him from the west back to the east. It was ridiculous. And he told Miles Jack, feel my hand through your goddamn face mask. It was a phenomenal job on the ground from him. I believe it was 17 carries in total, but he got to that yardage mark. I believe it was on 15 carries, something like that, but it was ridiculous. All right, he ended with like 17, I believe, but he could have. I mean, they kind of messed up his 5 touchdown day because he said, "Oh, we can all eat." He wanted Dion Lewis to get in the end zone, so Dion Lewis had the first 2 carries when they were inside the 5. It should have just been Derrick Henry. Only got 1 other carry after that. But for the Jags defense, they got absolutely torched. I'll say this, they have been underachieving the entire year, but this being a divisional game, and Tennessee has just had their number, period. When you play against divisional opponents, whatever you do to other teams, it doesn't really replicate the same way against your divisional opponents because you guys know each other. A lot of football fans don't quite understand that. Like, they'll look at a team that's 14-1 or something like that, and they always struggle against a division opponent. All of a sudden, you think this year's gonna be different. No, these teams know each other. That's how football works. Learn how football works. But offensively, the Jags have been underperforming this entire year. Defensively, they've been doing all right, but not the same mystique that they had last year. It's similar to when you look at the 2015 Broncos versus the 2016 Broncos. 2016 Broncos was still very good, but they weren't as great as they were in 2015. 2017 Jacksonville Jaguars defense was a very, very great defense, and this year, not so much. Matter of fact, we can even use the 2015 Giants versus the 2016 Giants. 2015 Giants defense was phenomenal. 2016, not so much. So, but for the Titans, they got back on track. This is a team that lost 5 of their last 7 games, and bam, now they got themselves, a little bit of momentum. They're talking in the AFC hunt situation. They're not quite in the playoffs just yet, but they're peeking through the curtain. They're trying to get themselves in. So we'll see how things play out. But good win for the Titans. There's nothing else that I can say about this game. It was really just Derrick Henry, hey, run all over this damn team. Now, do I expect to see this sort of performance down the line? Absolutely not. But I believe this is a bell cow sort of back. I always felt that about Derrick Henry. I think he's capable of this consistently, but they keep having him in a running back by committee system. He had 2 years, or I should say 3 years with DeMarco Murray. No, I think it was 2 years, whatever it was. But he was in there with DeMarco Murray splitting carries, and now I thought this was going to be the year that he gets all of the burden on his shoulders, but then you bring in the Dion Lewis and you're still splitting carries. So he got to be in a situation where I believe he's constantly getting the ball in his hand, and I think he'll start to achieve. But as of right now, him being in that system, I don't expect to see this sort of performance every single game. But next, we have the Jets taking on the Bills because we're transitioning into Sunday. Hop in the time machine with me. We're moving 3 days into the future. Now, when we're talking about what happened down in Buffalo, this game, the Jets showed some resilience because if you remember, I can't remember what week number it was, but the Jets absolutely got clapped by the Bills in MetLife Stadium. So they decided, hey, we're going to go on the road. We're not going to allow this team to come out here and defeat us the way that we got defeated last time. And they took care of business, man. They showed some resilience. They were able to go down the field. They were able to tie up the game, and then down the line, they was able to go and take the lead. I'll say this about the Jets defense. They haven't played that bad all year. It's just offensively they've been up and down. Darnold had a phenomenal touchdown where this man scrambled to the right, then came back to the left, and then found the man in the end zone. It was a phenomenal touchdown there. For the Bills, Josh Allen, he's good on the ground, but I'm not too confident about his ability to pass the ball. But then again, the Bills don't really have receivers like that. You were hoping Kelvin Benjamin would be serious, and he never lost the weight. Now he's somewhere else. I believe he got released. I don't know who picked him up. I have no clue. I can't remember who it was. I know I saw it a couple of days ago as to somebody who picked him up, or whether it was a meme of something like that, or if it's actually legit. But the team is escaping me right now. And I think Zay Jones, that's probably their best receiver as of this point. So if I was the Bills going into the offseason, because they are eliminated from playoff contention, find yourself some receivers that Josh Allen can get the ball to. Because honestly, if he can already be mobile, that's a good check for today's modern NFL. You got to have a quarterback who can pick up some yards here and there. The pocket passer has since become, some obsolete. Because look at the quarterbacks that are really succeeding in the league now. If you're in a situation where the pocket breaks down, you got to be able to get mobile. If you're looking like Eli Manning, interception, or take the sack, you don't want to do nothing like that. All right, so that's good for Josh Allen. He has the upside moving forward, but the Jets took care of business. Good win for them. Next, the Panthers taking on the Browns. I was not surprised about this game at all, because I predicted the damn Browns was going to win this game, and they won the game the same way I believed they were going to win. As for the Panthers, 5-game losing streak, you went from 6-2 to 6-7. All right. A lot of people are questioning, can Ron Rivera get it done? All this other stuff. I don't want to hear it. All right. I do not want to hear it. This man has took his team to the postseason last year, and they had some red zone struggles. I believe they ended up fixing that down the stretch, and now it's coming back. All right. The past 5 games, it is coming back. Outside of Cam, outside of Christian McCaffrey, who else on offense is actually performing for the Panthers? On top of that, Curtis Samuel's not seeing as much touches as I thought I'd like to see him see. DJ Moore, he's not getting the same number of touches. On top of that, Greg Olsen can't seem to stay healthy. But, the Panthers, the defense, it's here and then it's there. It's just a lot of inconsistency on that team. I don't know what's going on. All right, but they got to get it together. As for the Browns, Baker Mayfield, since the firing of Hugh Jackson, he's been doing phenomenal. Oh, might I add Todd Haley as well, because you got to make sure that's intertwined as there. Nobody likes Todd Haley. So Baker Mayfield's taking care of business. I heard in the media he said something, he'd like to see more Browns fans in the stands. Give it a rest, buddy. Pump the brakes. Hold on. You guys have won 3 games, or I should say 2 games in like 3 years. 3 games in like 3 years or something like that. And now you're starting to win now. Don't expect to see a packed house at all times. This is still Cleveland. Guys got to ingratiate themselves with the organization once again, especially when you haven't been to the playoffs since 2002. A lot of people, I remember with Buffalo, when I went to college up there was a ton of Bills fans. But when you talk about the games and them selling out the stadium all the other time, I mean, sometimes you get a sold out game, other times maybe not. But when you're losing, and people, natural fair weather fans, if they see the team that they cheer for is losing, they're not really going to be out there like that, because they want to be associated with. Every other week is a new problem, or I might just go and join a different fan base, all that other horse manure. But nonetheless, with Cleveland, good win for them. Jarvis Landry pretty much owned this game. He put out his staple and said, hey, I'm still one of the better receivers in the league. I believe he scored a touchdown on the ground as well. I don't know if it was a shovel pass or he just got it on a jet sweep, whatever the case was. But he took care of business. It was a good win in the dog pound for Cleveland. And they increased their win total. I believe they're at 5 right now, or is it 6? Whatever it is. But they're still in the hunt to possibly make the postseason. I originally predicted that Cleveland would win between 5 and 7 games. And I'm going to make sure at the end of the season, I'm going to pull up every clip of my predictions. And y'all going to sit here like, oh my God, why isn't he on ESPN? Because they would censor me and kick me off. Because I'm going to tell people, I don't deal with that sensationalism. All right? I call it how it is. I'm not going to sit over here, yell and scream and talk about a whole bunch of manure. But what I say in week 1, I stick by what I say in week 1. And if I happen to change my opinion, I tell you why. But I ain't one of these, I'm over here, then I'm over here, I'm over here, I'm over here. This ain't Mario. I'm not jumping back and forth. No, I don't even think that's the sound. But nonetheless, all right, moving on. We got the Falcons And the Packers. Packers won this game. I expected the Packers to win this game. For the Falcons, it's really unfortunate. You know, you had an injury-riddled season on both sides of the ball, but they've just been underachieving offensively through the year because at the first, I believe it was 7 weeks of the season, although they were losing games, Matt Ryan was still playing very good. Julio Jones racking up a ton of yards here and there. He had 2 touchdowns this particular game. Defensively, they simply, you know, they couldn't really stop Aaron Rodgers like that. And Aaron Jones had a couple of good runs on the ground as well. You know, Packers, they need to win out and they need some help, and their schedule is still very favorable. Although they lost last week in a game that against the damn Cardinals, people thought they were going to go and walk all over the Cardinals. No, it doesn't matter, because the way the NFC is looking right now, especially that 6th seed, the Packers can mess around and pull a miracle, man. I'm telling you, I still have faith in this team. Not their defense, but I still got faith in this team because they got Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. And a bunch of people talking about, oh, you can't be in the GOAT conversation with only one Super Bowl. This man, he's overrated, all this other stuff. You got to stop living, or I should say analyzing football on a week-by-week basis. That's not the case, all right? We're talking about Aaron Rodgers at the position of the quarterback. This man has the greatest talent at the quarterback I've ever seen. Greatest talent you probably ever seen. All right, he can get it done. The man's touchdown to interception ratio is out of this damn world. Highest quarterback rating of all time. There's a reason for that, because the man is like a god at the quarterback position. He can single-handedly lift a damn organization, and I'm expecting him to do that once again, like he's been doing over the past decade for this damn team that's had virtually no defense since 2009, or I should say 2010. But good win for the Packers. Next, we had the Colts and the Texans. The Colts ended up going into Houston and walking out and snapping that, 9-game win streak that the Texans had. And I'm not really surprised that much because it was a divisional game. The Colts offensively, they took care of business. T.Y. Hilton, I predicted him to have a big game, and ultimately he did. Andrew Luck took care of business there. Eric Ebron still was able to find his way into the end zone. He's still that problem at the tight end position. He plays very well when he can finally catch the football. If you remember when he was a Detroit Lion, the man was what happened to my hands all damn day. All right, but for the Texans, they have to be able to get a consistent run game. All right, I need them to have a consistent run game throughout the bulk of the season, because Lamar Miller has had some good games here and there, but it's up and down. DeAndre Hopkins, he's getting into the end zone, but the Texans, defensively, I'm not too concerned about them defensively. Offensively, as long as they can block for Deshaun Watson, I have confidence in their offense. But still, you've seen Deshaun all year long having to run all over the place to go try to create plays. That's not going to help going into the postseason. It's going to suck because you're going to play against better defenses. You're going to play against guys who really get after the quarterback. And if he's constantly running and now that internal clock is in your head, him being a young quarterback as well, that's where mistakes happen. All right, so if I was the Texans, I would try to get that offensive line down pat. But for the Colts, it was a great game for them. A lot of people, oh, well, you had a 5-game winning streak, then you just so happen to lose to the Jags. All of a sudden, they're not the same team that just won 5 games. All right, so that was a good win for them. They keep themselves in the hunt as well, trying to peek through as the Ravens are holding on to that 6th seed. And we'll see how things play out with that. And speaking of the Ravens, they just took on the Chiefs, and they took the Chiefs down to the wire. I originally thought the Ravens were going to go in there and win the game. But what happened? Justin Houston showed that this man was indeed clutch, because originally the last drive after the Chiefs ended up taking, or I should say evening up the score, and there was some bad calls in this game as well, but after, I just want to talk about the 4th quarter and overtime. After the Chiefs, were going down the field and Patrick Mahomes threw up a prayer and Tyreek Hill happened to catch it, and then they scored a touchdown on 4th and goal? Something like that when he connected with Damian, what was his last name? Is it Williams? I think it is Damian Williams, whatever it was. But the Ravens, although there was some bad calls here and there, they still had their opportunities on 4th down. When you got a 4th down play, that's on you. I don't care what happened before, but if it's a 4th down play, it's only one stop. It's only one stop. That's all you need. And you blew it on 2 different occasions. Then on the opposite ensuing drive, Here comes Lamar Jackson, gets dropped back, and evidently people done forgot Justin Houston's one of the better pass rushers in the league. Let me go push you right back into the quarterback, strip sack, ball, Harrison Buckner, let me go kick the game-winning field goal, and he missed it. But Chiefs had the ball first in overtime, went down the field, kicked the field goal. All of a sudden, Lamar Jackson, sideline, here comes RG3. Fourth down, launches the ball down the field. Should it have been pass interference? It's a ticky-tacky call. If they threw the flag, I understand. They don't throw the flag, I also understand. It's one of those 50-50 sort of situations. And they didn't get the benefit of the doubt. I understand, Baltimore fans. You have the right to be upset because there were some other calls before that. But that final call, I can't really give that one to you. But the way that the game was swaying, I understand. Tough loss, but you can bounce back from this. You can definitely bounce back from this. The Chiefs, they showed some resilience because they were playing from behind. They definitely did not have control of the game at all. Baltimore showed, it doesn't matter where they play. John Harbaugh teams play football anywhere. And that's the one thing that I love about John Harbaugh, because he's going to have his team in the game, whether they're on the road, whether they're at home, they play the same brand of football. And I respect Baltimore for that. But y'all going to have to ride this L train. Next, Patriots and the Dolphins. This game, back and forth. Look, I told you guys, the Dolphins would win in Miami. This team won 5 of their last 6 playing against the Patriots at home. Divisional opponent. These teams know each other. It's not like Tom Brady can't play in warm weather or they just choke in Miami. That's not the case. Divisional opponent, these teams know each other. Now, I'll just say, everything that happened in the game, it was a back and forth sort of game. Kick or miss for the Patriots, all right. Shit happens. But 69 yards away from the end zone, Bill Belichick outcoached himself. He put Gronk back there. You think Tannehill's about to launch the ball about 70 yards into the end zone? That's not happening. Why would you put this man back there? I don't understand that. Kenyon Drake, all of a sudden, bam, let me hit my man, Ryan Tannehill, Kenny Stills, Devontae Parker, Kenyon Drake. Kenyon Drake, here's Gronk over there. Whoop, Gronk, banana, bam, into the end zone. Touchdown, Dolphins, walk off score. The Patriots blew this game. Because it was theirs for the taking. You miss a field goal. All of a sudden, you got Gronk back there. You got no business being back there. Everybody talking about, well, Gronk should have made the tackle. You're an offensive player. You probably ain't tackled somebody from a defensive position in a long time. There's no reason for you to be back there. On top of that, this man hurt. Why would you put him out there? Risk his injury, go tear ACL trying to make a tackle. That ain't his job. His job's supposed to go catch footballs and sleep with a bunch of bald white women. That's what he's here to do. And he got this man on the field playing safety 69 yards deep like he gonna stop somebody. You did it to yourself, Belichick. But good win for the Dolphins. They keep themselves in the hunt for the postseason. I don't see them making it, but they keep themselves in the conversation. All right, they needed this win, especially after that shellacking they took in, week 4? They definitely needed this win. Good win for Miami. For the Patriots, now you got an opportunity to bounce back against Pittsburgh, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. Next, Saints and the Bucks. The Bucks blew this game, man. They blew this game because I believe they were up 14-3. They lose 28-14. What the hell? What the hell? Tale of two different halves, I'll tell you that much. Because the Saints looked like they were dead in the water, and they showed some resilience and came back and bounced back. All right, because watching this game, especially early on, you said, man, this defense and the Saints on the road, they can't play on the road. You see the difference between when the Saints play at home and when they play on the road. It'll remind you that first half was the same sort of imagery of what you saw when the Saints played against Dallas. It was the same sort of situation. They had Drew Brees off the field fast. They were forcing turnovers here and there. They were getting to the quarterback. Offensively, they were holding on to the football. So you're looking at it like, all right, this is going to be one of those games. And then what happened in the second half? Tampa fell off a cliff. Absolutely terrible performance in the second half. You can't play football like that. Football's 4 quarters, not 2. It looked as if when they went into halftime, they felt as if, oh, we won this game. And then the Saints said, wait a minute. We had a 10-game win streak for a reason. We're the number 2 seed in the NFC, now the number 1 seed after I get to the Rams game a little bit later. But they went over there, they took care of business. Drew Brees shows why he's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Mark Ingram, he ran for a huge touchdown, which he carried a dude. Dude was pulling his damn shirt. He said, all right, come with me into the end zone. Feel free to come with me. It was all right game. But good win for the Saints, all right? For the Bucks, this is why people look at Tampa and say, you know what, they got all this talent, but they just can't put it together. Because this was a game you guys should have won. Should have put the damn game away, man. But next, we got the Giants and the Redskins, necrophilia. Nothing needs to be said. Necrophilia. The Redskins got raped. They didn't stand a chance. Saquon Barkley, he showed why he's a transcendent talent. Odell didn't play this particular game. Eli Manning didn't look like a bum, but he didn't have to because the Redskins defense wasn't even on the field. The Redskins mentally, they're gone. They're gone. Remember when they were 6-3? And this team, they were like, yo, this team's gonna win the division, all this other stuff, and then injury after injury after injury after injury after injury. Psychologically, the Redskins aren't there anymore. They're not there anymore. They're like, we can't catch a break. Every week somebody's getting hurt and they're gone for the season. Is it gonna be me next? And that's how they playing. That's how they playing. They out there looking like a scout team defense, man. They're afraid. They're afraid. Their season's done. Their season's done. The injury bug hit them, and psychologically, they're not there no more. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't win another game for the rest of the season. But good win for the Giants. You kind of messing up your positioning for the draft, but you play to win the game, and that's exactly what it is that they did. A lot of people talking about, well, they're still in the hunt for the playoffs. Indeed they are. Are they going to get there? Absolutely not. But good win for the Giants. Next, Bengals and the Chargers. This game was much closer than I anticipated. The Bengals played way better than I anticipated as well. The Chargers nearly blew it. But I'll say this, at the end of the game, the Bengals and Marvin Lewis show why Marvin Lewis should not be a head coach in the league. Now, I'll say this about Jeff Driscoll. He may be young, but there's no reason why you have 19 seconds on the clock. You're coming onto the field for a third down play. You get a completion on third down, and you guys don't have a fourth down play. That doesn't make any sense. You should have 2 plays already prepared just in case you're short of the first down, in which they were. Time should not expire on you like that. That's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. That shows the ineptitude of a football team that doesn't know how to play football. And that's why the Bengals, when they were 4-1, and everybody was like, oh, wait a minute, the Bengals are top 5 in the league at the time. I said, yeah, that sounds nice. Don't be prisoners of the moment, because we know how certain organizations are. At one point, they're going to fall off the damn cliff. I can't whistle. They're going to fall off the cliff, and Cincinnati found a way to Cincinnati themselves out of playoff hope. Look at them now. They only won 1 game since week 5. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Then next, all right, the Chargers, they just got to hold out until Melvin Gordon comes back. But they're doing well for themselves, all right? They won themselves some big-time games tonight. Actually, they got a huge game, probably the game for their season, because if they mess around and get that home field advantage over the Chiefs, that'll work stupendously for them. And then next, we got the Browns and the 49ers. Broncos, 49ers. This game surprised me. I was not expecting the 49ers to play the way that they did, but there's only one name that needs to be said about the San Francisco 49ers. That's George Kittle. This man rubbed his nutsack all over the Broncos. Luckily, they were in San Francisco, because when his nutsack was out, the fans were, yay! It was ridiculous. 210 yards in just the first half. Who was covering this man? Who was covering this man? The Broncos tried to make a comeback in the second half, but it just wasn't enough. You can't allow a tight end to go out there and murder you guys like that. And I'll say this about Kittle. He better be in the Pro Bowl. In fact, the way that he's playing, he better be a first-team All-Pro. NFC tight end right now, he's the best tight end in the NFC for this particular season. He's getting my vote. He is getting my vote. Yeah, that's right. You heard that out there in Philly. Zach Ertz. Listen, phenomenal tight end. Personally, in the NFC, you're the best tight end in the NFC, in my opinion. But you and Greg Olsen, but Greg Olsen hasn't really been healthy like that. But this particular season, George Kittle takes that title. For this season, not overall, but this season, it's George Kittle. Good win for the 49ers. Not too much to be said about the Broncos. Am I too concerned? Or I should say, am I concerned about the Broncos losing Emmanuel Sanders prior to this game? That does beg for some concern for their aerial attack, what they're going to do on the ground. If I was these guys, it's December football. Trust in that beast of Philip Lindsay and keep giving him the carries. It'll take the load off of Case Keenum. Defensively, the Broncos can still play good football. Just for the next 3 games, trust in that running back, and maybe you'll be able to make stuff happen. But do not try to panic and go to the air game, because you're going to start to struggle. Lions and the Cardinals. This game, the Lions won 17-3. Not too much needs to be said. 2 bad teams. The Cardinals, you're coming off a big win last week. Coming into this game, you thought they were going to be able to replicate the same thing. Absolutely not. The Lions, they went and took care of business. What else is there to be said? These are 2 struggling teams. Game was kind of sloppy. here and there. I can't really give too much of an analysis because, these teams, it was sloppy, man. Teams ain't that good. They're battling for, draft pick status. I think the Cardinals trying to make sure they can get the number 1 pick, but they're going to kind of struggle to get that because Oakland's looking very good at getting the number 1 pick. But speaking of Oakland, they done stayed at home and beat my Pittsburgh Steelers. I'll say this, the ineptitude of Mike Tomlin showed this particular game. All right, why is that? Well, you had Big Ben get hurt at the end of the first half. He came out in the beginning of the second half, or I should say after the first drive, and when he came back onto the field, evidently given the post-conference, the post-game press conference, he was already cleared. So why would you keep him on the sideline? Mike Tomlin happened to say, well, there was an ebb and flow of the game. He liked the tempo that the team had. What do you mean with tempo? We didn't score in the second half. That doesn't make any sense. I don't quite understand. It's very confusing. I understand why a lot of people always question Tomlin. Defensively, we made absolutely no adjustments for Jared Cook. Constantly find ourselves in a situation in which a linebacker is guarding a receiver in the slot as if we don't have slot corners in Mike Hilton. We can even put, Sensabal's outside now, but definitely don't put Artie Burns on the field. You still got somebody like a Morgan Burnett he's getting beat all the time. So I don't know what the hell you're gonna do with that old man at that point. Edmonds, he's showing some promise, but it's not nothing special. You got Davis out. We got to start playing some man defense, and guys got to buckle down and say, I'm just gonna be better than the person across me, because whatever this zone thing is that Keith Butler's running, it's absolutely atrocious. I'll get more in detail a little bit later, but this was a great win for the Raiders. They took care of business, but the Steelers blew their 3rd consecutive game in which they should have won. Ridiculous. Just ridiculous. Eagles and the Cowboys. Amari Cooper rubbed his nutsack all over the Eagles. I'll say this, there were a ton of bad calls to opening kickoff. I don't understand how that's not Eagles football. The guy was clearly on the ball, so it doesn't make any sense how the referee said they didn't have, clear-cut footage. It was very confusing. I was scratching my head the entire time. On top of that, they ended up going into overtime, and Eagles defender Douglas made a hell of a play on the ball, and still, did I say Douglas? Is it Douglas? Is it Douglas? What's his last name? I think it is Douglas. I'm forgetting what it is. But he broke up the pass only to have it into the air. It was caught by Amari Cooper into the end zone. Game done. All right, Cooper showing, hey, maybe he was worth those first round draft pick. Maybe he was worth it. All right. Now I'll say this for the Cowboys. You win 5 consecutive games. They definitely needed this to go. And then looking at the rest of their schedule, it's rather favorable. So for the Eagles, this was their opportunity to possibly go and win the division. Carson Wentz now injuring his back and probably not playing for the rest of the season. This past week truly did define who was going to win the NFC East, and apparently the Cowboys, we did good going to the postseason, man. Things can change in the past 3 weeks, but that's what it's looking like right now. Great game defensively by the Cowboys. They're showing why they're one of the better defenses in the league. For the Eagles, that injury-ridden secondary that they had, it showed. It definitely showed this particular game. And finally, Bears and the Rams. Great game by the Bears. Defensive matchup. There was a ton of turnovers. In total, how many turnovers was it? It was 4 interceptions from each quarter. 4 by Jared Goff, 3 by Mitch Trubisky. Defensive matchup. This particular game. For the Rams, I don't understand how in cold, inclement weather you only give the ball to Todd Gurley 11 times. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I don't understand the play calling that was going down here. There's no reason why Jared Goff should throw the football 44 times. That's ridiculous. All right, for the Bears, Mitch Trubisky was pretty much giving, the Rams opportunity to go down and score time and time and time again. But the philosophy of the offense from Sean McVay cost the Rams that particular game. I'll say this about the Bears defense. They went and they took the football away. Stuff like 4 interceptions doesn't happen by accident. All right, both these defenses played very, very good football, and I was thoroughly enjoyed and sports entertained by watching these defenses play. However, the play calling was absolutely atrocious. this is one of the questions that I will continue to have for the Bears. Can Mitch Trubisky throw the football down the field? Because we see this man check down Poppy. I'm Alex Smith in the flesh, dumping the ball down and dinking and dunking here and there. But can he get the ball vertically down the field 20, 25, 30 yards? Because all those times that he's trying to get it down there, it's getting picked off. His percentage for the rest of the year is not that great. So I want to see him be able to get vertical down the field throwing the football. But outside of that, on the ground, Jordan Howard, he had an all right game. Tariq Cohen is still showing that he's a weapon as well. But that defense for the Bears is something serious, man. Kyle Fuller tied for the league in interceptions. Eddie Jackson, I think he's leading the league in defensive touchdowns. Amuka Mara, he's on and off every single week, but he'll make a play. Khalil Mack, transcendent talent on the line. You got a linebacking core with a young guy, Raquan Smith. He's a dog. Danny Trevathan, he's playing good football. You know, you got Hicks on the front line playing very well. Man, they got some names out there, man. This Bears defense is something serious, and when they play at home, they're a different team. You better watch out for them in the postseason. Nobody wants to go to Chicago. Nobody wants to go to Chicago. I know there's people over there, 85, baby, just, you know, getting erect at the thought of that great defense. And then finally, Vikings and the Seahawks, another good defense. The goddamn camera cut off again, but luckily we were at the last game anyway, so it's not too much that you guys missed. All right, so Vikings and the Seahawks, it was a phenomenal defensive game, all right? But I'll say this, for the Vikings, I'm happy the offensive coordinator got fired, because you've seen throughout this entire season the play calling has been absolutely abysmal. All right, you had Dalvin Cook had a couple of good runs here and there. He had a 10-yard run here, I believe it was 7-yard, 6-yard, 5-yard run. That was building confidence for a running back. All right, you don't need a running back to go out there and get 120 yards on 15 carries. It's not the case. If you're getting 5 yards here, 4 yards here, that's good positive production for a running back. That's building confidence, because you got to look at throughout history, you have backs who would get 3 yards here, 4 yards here, 5 yards here, and you'd look at, oh, they got 18 carries for like 60 some yards. It may not look sexy on the stat sheet, but if I'm making third and manageable, that's what people don't quite understand, especially the game of football. The first 2 downs, if you can set it up to where you're looking at 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, that's perfect football. That's all you need. But in the Vikings case, we're going to get a good run here, and all of a sudden we're dropping back in passing a ton of time. It doesn't make any sense. Mike Zimmer's defense held the Seattle Seahawks to 6 points up until the 4th quarter. And you couldn't produce offensively. Makes no sense. On top of that, Kirk Cousins, he hasn't won a game. Hasn't won a game Monday Night Football. He has a losing record, a terrible record against winning quarterback, winning organization. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. The play calling, honestly, I've never been sold on Kirk Cousins, but I think he has been stifled by these terrible play calls that's being given to him. Him calling his own plays, I don't know how things are going to play out. But honestly, if he had somebody like a Kyle Shanahan calling the plays for him, somebody like a Sean McVay calling the plays for him, somebody like a Mike McCarthy calling the plays for him, hell, somebody like in Chicago, their coach's name, who's calling the plays for them, somebody like that, even a Doug Peterson, somebody calling plays for this man, who actually, you know, they know the strengths of their quarterback and the strengths of their offense. I think he could excel in this league. But what he's been handed, it's not working, man. It's just not working. It wasn't working when he was with Jay Gruden. It was not working when he had the offensive coordinator he had this particular year up until he got fired. Now, for the defensive side, the Seahawks defensively, they showed why they're still, you know, a force to be reckoned with. The Legion of Boom may not be here, but Bobby Wagner is showing why he's still arguably number 1, but definitely number 2 linebacker in the league. It's him and Luke Kuechly, back and forth. You can pick your poison whoever you want, but best middle linebacker in the league is between those 2 guys. All right, and still, although he should have got flags for, you know, jumping over, he put his hand on the people. You can't catapult yourself. I don't care what you, it's his old teammates. Well, that's against the rules, buddy. Should have been a flag. But defensively, Seattle took care of business. Offensively, Russell Wilson made some bad decisions, but he used his legs, and the ground game for the Seahawks is what won them this game. Once again, this team is very scary playing at home. Although the Rams did clinch the division, so there's no way this team can host a home playoff game. But if they build ahead of steam, you already know this team is battle tested. Every year Russell Wilson has been in the playoffs, he's won a playoff game. In fact, I believe Pete Carroll has won a playoff game every year he's been in the playoffs when he's been with Seattle. So we'll see how those things play out down the line. But this team very favorable schedule, they can mess around and win out. They have maybe a couple of tough games here and there, but for the most part, this team, they're showing resilience. They're figuring out how everything works. They got themselves on a little win streak over here. And they got some names on the team, man. If they can stay healthy, they'll make some noise in the playoffs. They can win a road playoff game against, whether it's a Dallas or even they can win against a Dallas, or they can win against who's leading in the NFC East right now? No, NFC North. Dallas or even Chicago. I think they could walk into Chicago. Matter of fact, no, I can't even say. I think they'd walk into Chicago and beat Chicago. They'll probably get Dallas. they can maybe get Dallas. We'll see how things play out down the line. But I have confidence in this Seahawks team. But that has been my analysis of this 2018 Week 14. All right? Post week of what happened this particular game. I'm going to be back in a few hours. Not only am I going to be talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers today, I'm going to be covering, who I think is going to win in Week 15 as well. But I'll isolate one video particularly for the Pittsburgh Steelers in my analysis of what just transpired in this 3-game losing streak. But nonetheless, I have been the host of the show, the diligent, vigilant, meticulous, sagacious, conscientious, analytical, methodical individual, the Chiseled Adonis. I'm headed back to the Shadow Realm. You guys enjoy your Thursday.